nothing to do with that.
Hey, it's Nevin. It's Sarah.
Hi.
This is Sarah from CMD, Children's Ministry Deals, and you just brought up a terrible, painful memory.
We go way back, and we've had
We were
conference
down
together.
at North Point Church, Andy Stanley's church in Atlanta, checking out kid stuff, their kid stuff program. And everybody's like, you gotta go to the varsity. You gotta go to the varsity. It's where you get the hamburgers and hot dogs.
Oh, lots of greasy stuff. The orange dreamsicle shakes or whatever.
I don't even want to think about it. We go there, and the short story is...
You got the stomach flu, and then you ate the varsity, and then it was just all downhill from there. It was a painful experience.
A bad road trip back home to Louisville, so anyway.
Sorry, I had to bring that up.
I just drove by the varsity last week, and as I drove by, my stomach kind of got upset. Anyway. Go to the varsity. They have great food. I just want to promote the varsity. If you
just don't get the stomach flu before you go.
Yes. So anyway, we're talking about something. I don't know.
Well, obviously we were talking about
elementary curriculum. Yes. We're talking about elementary curriculum and just teaching kids. And you taught kids for like years at Southeast Christian Church, one of the biggest churches in America. You rock star, you.
Whatever.
I wrote down some questions, though, just to talk through, I think these are just common questions people have about teaching kids. But number one, right out the gate. What makes a lesson great for children?
Sure.
What makes it great?
You got to have object lessons. You have to have basic points that kids can grasp onto. You don't want to have, 20 different points. You need to keep it concise, whether it's just one major point that you keep coming back to, or 3 major points, just something that has to be repetitive. So even in your lesson, you're repeating it over and over again, so they have something to take away. Right. But it has to be, exciting and active. There has to be different elements, but definitely object lessons or videos or different visuals that they can see. Otherwise, they won't remember it. If you're just talking head up there, blah, 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 they won't remember it.
Right. So don't get up and just teach for 25 minutes.
No, 25 minutes is too long.
No, way too long.
Way too long.
Anyway.
12, 15 tops.
What are the benefits of having a series versus just a standalone lesson? Exactly.
I think kids learn on repetition, and a lot of your kids, in your ministry come at different intervals during the month. They might come, every other week or once a month, and so if you just have a standalone lesson versus a series, they're gonna miss it. And so if you have a series, you're gonna build on that all month long. And even those kids who come, 4 times a month, they're all the time, they're gonna learn so much more, and they're gonna remember, we learned about that last week, but this builds on to that. And so if you keep building on, kids learn by repetition, and so their little brains are gonna get full of all that stuff. And honestly, kids they pride themselves on remembering things, or I know this one, I know this one. And so if you repeat those things, those kids are gonna be excited about learning about God's Word, and it's gonna stick in their brains a little longer. So
absolutely. Repetition. And just thinking back to me growing up, I can't always remember what the individual lesson was, but I can remember series, and even as an adult, I can remember sermon series at church 5 years ago. I don't remember the actual sermon, but I remember what the series was about.
Exactly.
So, good stuff. Do you like having a theme?
Oh, yeah. Themes it's easier to plan out, when you have a theme. This is your focus. This is your umbrella. You get to do anything you want within that theme, and you can just be creative with it. So
right.
It just goes on with that series of just driving home.
I guess is that the same question then? Do you like having a theme? Okay.
Well, also, it helps you as a minister to plan a series where if for 6 weeks we're going to talk about this, and you can build on those series back to back. And I just think it's so important to plan out long series. Plan out a whole year in advance. And
that was going to be my next question. How far in advance should you plan? So you're saying probably a year?
I would do as far as you can. I think having, those scope and sequences, the long, you need a big picture in ministry. If you don't have a big picture in ministry of how far you're going or what you want your kids to learn, those building blocks, those mission statements, those kinds of things, if you don't have that in place, you're just going to be shooting in the dark every week, and you're going to become more exhausted. And sometimes you may not have time to write out a whole new series or a whole new lesson that week because you've focused on VBS or volunteers or whatever. And but having that, hey, I know I'm going to talk about wisdom this week because it's a part of our series, and you have that planned out. It's so much easier on you as a minister to plan it out that far in advance.
What's the hardest thing about preparing a lesson?
Well, for me, I wasn't always as good as writing lessons, but so having curriculum already done, and give me those high points, like, I don't even know where to start, because I'm such a detailed kind of person. So once I get my skeleton done, then I can fill it in. But, a lot of curriculums out there, they already have those skeletons for you, and you can fill it in, or you can add your own flavor to it. But, so that's the hardest part, is just getting started.
I think having like that, having a sheet of like a list of things to plug in is great. I remember like teaching kids like one time, and I was just I was stuck in the mindset of, I got to teach for 20 minutes. I don't know what was wrong with me. I wasn't thinking through, like, I need to have an object lesson, I need to have a PowerPoint game, I need to have a, memory verse, and, going down the list. That was when I was a newbie, you know. So anyway, having those things. Yeah. What are the top 3 things that would make your job easier when planning a lesson? Obviously having that skeleton.
Yeah, having
having your
just having it kind of written out, mapped out for you. Because I wouldn't always have time to just sit down and write a lesson. It would, if I knew I was teaching like, a month or 2 months out, I would start, getting my thoughts together then, because it would take me that long, because I was very methodical. It just took me forever to get like the lesson just right. And so having, like, this is what your topic is. This is the Bible scripture that's based out of. These are the 3 major points you're going to cover. Or this is the memory verse you're going to cover. Just all that kind of stuff, just sandwiched in there. Here's an object lesson. Those kinds of things would be so helpful in planning a lesson for me. So when I had to do it all from scratch was the one that would take me forever.
Crazy. So, and there's like a ton of great curriculum. That's already been produced, and we sell
people do this for you
on CMD that other people make, but like, it's amazing. Like, somebody's already sat down and thought through like handouts for parents, and like 20 other things that you would never even think of.
Well, teams of people who like, they get their education degrees in this, like, childhood education.
This is what they do.
This is what they do, and they have teams of people who sit around tables and figure these lessons and these scope and sequences out for you. It's phenomenal.
Right. So anyway, so you should take advantage of that if you can. And I was just going to give a shameless plug to CMD, children's ministry deals, because we have bundles on here, like different resource providers have said, like, hey, I'm going to bundle all my stuff and you could sell it. And they'll bundle like a year's worth of stuff together. And I'm just thinking that's cool, because then
can't beat it. You
can plan out the whole year that way, because if you don't have that, then it's hard to plan out the whole year. Yeah. So anyway, cool stuff. How often did you teach when you were on staff at Southeast?
We would have video curriculum, and so we do live teaching like at least once a quarter, and so I'd at least do it once a month there. At camps, I was teaching live all the time, because we did live teaching out at camp. So I would teach probably about 6 times a year, 6 or 7, I don't know, depending. So
yeah, any tips or tricks for people that are teaching kids, like on a regular basis?
Keep it fun. Don't be a talking head. I mean, involve the kids when you're trying to teach. Bring them up on stage to do the story with you, or repetitiveness. Have them repeat things after you've said it. Just whatever you can do to keep them, interacting kind of with
engaged.
you. Engaged. Yes, that's important.
They say there's some stat like anytime you talk to a group of kids, like, isn't it like only 25% are actually listening to what you're saying?
It's probably true.
So you gotta.
You only retain 10% of what you learn in college, so there's got to be.
I mean, yeah.
It's got to be powerful. Memorable.
And I was thinking, like, Bob Russell, he was the pastor at Southeast Christian Church, and he was talking about like the importance of like family, and I don't even know where I'm going with this, but he said, like, as a kid, he doesn't remember as a kid. Yeah. Actually, like, what he was taught. He remembers the experience of being in church and the experience of how people made him feel, and like the connections that he had. You know what I mean?
That's who I remember. I remember the people, and just the fact that they poured their lives into me, and they taught me about Jesus, and I don't remember the lessons, but obviously I did retain something, because you remember things later on. You're like, I don't know where I know that from, but I know it somehow. So kids retain a lot more than you think they do, but
they do.
They're there. They're listening.
Why am I even saying that? I think because maybe just like, you prepare a great lesson, but remember that it's about your heart, and it's about actually being there with the kids and spending time with the kids. So it's not the task of I have to teach this lesson. It's I get to be with these kids and like help them learn about the Lord and be together with them. So good stuff. Yeah. Speaking of good stuff, I'm hungry now for lunch.
Okay. And, what are we gonna eat?
I don't know, something.
Yummy. Something
good. After I had the varsity, we stopped at a gas station, and I had these
Chico sticks.
Chico sticks. I'll never eat a Chico stick
And
the rest of
every
my
time I
life.
see Chico Sticks, I remember Nevin.
That's
the
right.
fact that he
It was bad.
didn't have a good experience with Chico Sticks.
It was bad. And Steve Young, the director of the children's ministry, was
Same
also
situation.
sick with me for a long time.
Poor guys.
Anyway, that's terrible.
All that to say.
Terrible.
Elementary
to talk about.
curriculum
Yes.
is awesome.
Elementary curriculum rocks. Check it out.
Yeah.
Have a great day.